Hi guys, welcome to the channel. This is what if Gohan was sent to DXD. Before we start, remember to like and subscribe to help the channel. Also check the description for the creator of the fanfic. Chapter 7. It had been 2 days since Azazel got him a new apartment. At first it took time to adapt. Gohan never lived alone except for the time he had spent half of a year in the desert while training for the arrival for the Saiyans, but this was different for the Demi-Saiyan. And that's how the square root of 37.9 is removed, the mathematics teacher explained. Gohan took notes of what the teacher said in his notebook. He already knew what the lesson was about, thanks to his constant study at an early age, but Gohan sometimes liked to review to get ahead. Ring. The school bell rang, implying that fourth period was over. All students got up from their seats, heading towards the cafeteria, but not before making sure to keep their materials in their backpacks. "Are you coming, Gohan?" Akeno asked the black-haired boy when she saw that he didn't get up. Coming, Akeno. It had been 3 days since Gohan had enrolled to Kuo Academy. During those days Akeno kept a close eye towards the Demi-Saiyan. At first she was hanging out with Gohan to keep a close eye on him, but during those times she began to enjoy every second spending time with the new student. They left the classroom. Walking down the school corridors, it seemed that everyone was looking at them as they passed by, as the girls looked sonorously at the two black-haired teenagers. The boys watched the two with zeal and a hint of fear when seeing the Demi-Saiyan. This only embarrassed Gohan. All he can do is just keep walking down the aisle, avoiding all the stares as he remembered what happened 2 days ago. Retrospective scene. Gohan was walking towards the school courtyard. He was thinking about the news that his friend Issei gave him. It turns out that Issei had a date with Yuma. This only worried the black-haired teenager. Knowing very well that the girl was not what she appears to be, thanks to Azazel, he had an idea of what she wanted from the chestnut tree. "I have to do something about that date," Gohan thought to himself as he walked down the small path. He was so deep in thought that he didn't realize that a group of teenagers were following him until someone yelled, "Hey, you!" shouted one of the boys in the group, getting the attention of the dark-haired boy. The Demi-Saiyan turned around only to see a group of teenagers, perhaps the same age as him, all wearing the Kuo Academy's uniform except for one who only had his pants and his white button shirt on. "Is there anything I can help you with?" Gohan asks them doubtfully. "You're taking advantage of Akeno, and I don't like it." The guy without his black coat replied in rage while he glared daggers at the Demi-Saiyan. Gohan was confused by the boy comment, wondering what he meant by taking advantage of Akeno. "I don't know what you're talking about," began the Demi-Saiyan as he looked at the boy in front of him. "I'm not taking advantage of Akeno," he continues while looking at him seriously and somewhat confused. "How am I taking advantage of her?" This only angered the boy. It was obvious to him that Gohan was taking advantage of her, that or he was just jealous and refused to see reality. "Don't lie to me, you bastard. I know you're taking advantage of her and you're going to pay," he shouted furiously at the Demi-Saiyan, causing some of the student body to approach the scene. "Think what you want. I have better things to do," the dark-haired boy replied as he turned around walking away. Gohan felt an urge inside him, wanting to hit this guy, but he was not the type of person. His father would be disappointed in him if he knew that his son got carried away in anger and killed an innocent bystander. "Just calm down," the Demi-Saiyan growled in his mind as he pushed through the crowd of students. He didn't want to lose control just like he did in the Cell games, but this foolish boy was making it very hard for Gohan to control his instinct. The student causing the scene only smiled triumphantly at the sight of the black-haired teenager leaving. "It was to be expected that someone like you could be so pathetic," he said out loud so everyone present can hear. "I think Akeno is better off with me," and he didn't finish, as a fist stops only a few centimeters from connecting with his nose. "Don't you dare say it," the Demi-Saiyan growled as he watched the boy trembling in front of him. Gohan could handle if someone was making fun of him and handle being beaten by a bloody pulp. But when you make threats or making fun of the Demi-Saiyan friends, let's just say it's not a pleasant experience. The boy couldn't answer as he was paralyzed by fear. He could swear that he saw fire in the black-haired boy's eyes. Gohan didn't say anything else. Instead he turned around leaving the courtyard. He didn't want to stay or do something he would regret. "That's what happens when you mess with Gohan," said a girl from the crowd as she looked at the boy who was still shivering. "What the hell, man? That guy is scary," a boy said as he looked at the retreating Demi-Saiyan. "I told them it wasn't a good idea to mess with him," added another student. "So handsome and strong," sighed another dreamy girl as she stared at the dark-haired boy. The boy who had challenged Gohan stopped trembling and heard the murmurs of the other students. He couldn't believe that idiot put him in such a shameful situation. "Come on man, he's not worth it," one of his friends said as he approached towards the boy that challenged the Demi-Saiyan, lifting him off the ground. "Let me go. That idiot is going to pay," the boy suddenly shouted as he shoves his friend away, running towards the black-haired boy. Gohan heard the boy cry. Knowing that there was no other option, Gohan just hoped that he wouldn't kill the teenager in the process. When the angry boy was about to plug his fist at the back of the Demi-Saiyan head, Gohan just took a step aside, allowing the fist to pass by him and then using his knee to strike lightly at the boy's stomach. "Hag!" The boy screams in agony as he walks away from the Demi-Saiyan, holding his stomach in pain. "I'm sorry, but you brought this to yourself," said the Demi-Saiyan before leaving the boy who was in verge of fainting. Retrospective scene end. Gohan just sighed as he remembered that day. He was thankful that the teenager had only fainted by the force of the blow and didn't cause major injuries, but the principal learned of that small incident. Needless to say, Gohan was on the list of problematic students for the principal. "If mom finds out about this, she's going to kill me," the Demi-Saiyan thought, remembering his mother's temper. "Gohan." Akino began calling the attention of the black-haired boy. "You look distracted," said the girl as she smiled beautifully at him. "I'm sorry Akino, I was just remembering something," confessed the Demi-Saiyan as he returned the smile. "What were you remembering?" she asks with a beautiful smile. "Why does she have to be so cute?" Gohan thought with a flush without taking his eyes off the girl in front of him. "I was just thinking of what happened 2 days ago." "Oh, that," said the girl. Unfortunately for her, she hadn't seen Gohan's little fight. She learned the fight accrued thanks to her classmates of what happened that day. There was no doubt, Gohan was something else, she thought to herself as she was staring at the Demi-Saiyan. They walked for a while before making a stop in the school dining room. The food bar was to the left side of the room and in the center, there were multiple tables, arranged in order with seats on each side of them. The wall colors are sky blue with several windows on the wall allowing the sunshine through the room. Gohan and Akino went to the bar ordering their food. The girl ordered a small plate of wasabi with some rice. Gohan ordered 3 servings of what Akino ordered along with 2 large burgers and 5 pieces of pizza accompanied by a soda. Akino was only amused as the Demi-Saiyan ordered his food. She already know his appetite, in fact the whole school knew. For the students, it was the strangest thing they had ever seen. Seeing a teenager eat that amount of food and not getting fat was bizarre. They took to an empty table after ordering their meal and were stopped by a familiar cry. "Hey Gohan, Akino," Issei shouted, calling their attention to the black-haired teenagers as the two turns around staring at Issei. "Sit down with us," Issei said to them. He was sitting in the middle with Matsuda and Motohama on one side of the table. Gohan and Akino only nodded and began to walk towards them, but they couldn't help but notice all the students' murmurs. "It can't be, Akino and Gohan are sitting with the perverted trio," murmured a girl in terror. "No, don't approach them Akino," another girl shouted. "I don't know why would Gohan be around with those idiots," another commented angrily. Gohan could only let a drop of sweat ran down his neck as he listened to the students' comments. He knew that Issei and his friends were perverts, but he didn't think they were that bad. Akino paid no attention to them, following the black-haired boy towards the perverted trio who didn't stop watching her as they drool. "Hi guys, how you been?" the Demi-Saiyan asked as he and Akino took a seat next to each other. "We're fine Gohan, right guys?" said the brunette as he smiled at the black-haired boy. "Guys?" Issei asked again when he didn't receive an answer from his friends. Matsuda and Motohama didn't respond. They were still drooling, staring at the girl who sat in front of them. They knew about the famous Akino, and her extraordinary beauty, but they had never witnessed her up close. "Idiots, stop looking at her like that," Issei shouted to his friends, disappointed by their attitudes, although he has no right to scold them as he too couldn't stop staring at Akino's enormous breasts. The girl just laughed at them. For her these 3 boys were the funniest guys in the entire school. "Anyway," said the Demi-Saiyan with some annoyance in his voice. He didn't understand why he was annoyed, but the strange looks of his friends gave towards Akino made him a little bit angry. "So Issei, about your date with Yuma?" asked the black-hair boy wanting to change the topic. "It's going to be super cool, I'm really excited," the brunette replied, as a big smile fell upon his face. Gohan could only sigh in disappointment. He was hopeful that Issei would cancel his date, but apparently, he didn't. The Demi-Saiyan would have to spy Issei and Yuma to make sure no harm come to the chestnut. "You have a date Issei?" Akino asked the boy. She knew that Issei is having a date with this Yuma, thanks to Kaneko, but now it would be a good idea to get more information from the boy. Why yes, we're going out on Saturday. Issei replied awkwardly as he saw Akino, or more specifically her breasts, which she whipped around in every movement she made. The girl smiled charmingly at him. She hoped the boy would do well on his date. But everyone in the Orc Club and herself find it odd, given Issei's reputation with women. Take this, Issei, Akino said as she slipped her delicate hand into one of her pockets and pulled out a slightly crumpled piece of paper. If you take this at your date, things will turn out better than expected. She continues, giving Issei the paper. Thanks, Akino. The chestnut thanked the girl as he took the paper. Gohan watched with interest as Akino gave him that strange paper with symbols he had never seen before. He wasn't sure why, but that paper radiated a strange but weak energy. What is that? Gohan asks the black-haired girl. It's just a lucky charm, the girl replied with a smile. Gohan just narrowed his eyes. This was not a lucky charm, that was certain, but he couldn't take that away from Issei. After all, Akino gave it to him and he wasn't going to take something that wasn't his. After that little incident they ate quietly. Well, Issei, Akino, Matsuda and Motohama ate quietly, but Gohan was another story. I'll never get used to this, Issei murmured as he watched Gohan devour every crumb of food. His two friends only nodded in agreement. Akino, on the other hand, only laughed quietly at the spectacle in front of her. She knew that Kaneko ate a lot, but seeing Gohan eating was something else. The rest of the day passed without any further incident. Now Gohan sat in the classroom while taking notes of today's lesson the teacher was giving them. Gohan looks at his side only to find that a certain girl with black hair and violet eyes was not here. Akino left the classroom 5 minutes ago, telling the teacher that the club she joined had a very important meeting. Besides, it was the final period, so there wasn't much of a problem. And the atom is composed of, said the teacher as he wrote on his blackboard, but was interrupted by the school bell. It seem our time run out. I want you to go over lesson 37 and answer page 38 of your textbook. The teacher told them before taking his belongings. After Gohan finished packing his stuff, he started heading to the main exit of Kuo Academy. The Demi-Saiyan turned the right corner of a wall and stopped to look at what was in front of him. There, about 15 meters from his position, was none other than Akino, but there was also another person with her, more specifically another girl just beautiful as Akino. Who is she? Thought the black-haired boy as he looked at her closely. She had crimson hair and, like Akino, was wearing the academy uniform. We'll see each other tomorrow, the red-haired girl said to Akino as she nods. What is she? Thought the Demi-Saiyan as he watched the red-haired girl in the distance as he felt her energy was way stronger than any human. Gohan began to wonder if she was a devil that Azazel told him about. Gohan was lost in his thoughts wondering what that red-haired girl was, but he lost track in his thoughts when he felt there's someone behind him. Is there something I can help you with? The Demi-Saiyan asks as he turned around and saw Akino as she immediately wrapped around the Demi-Saiyan arm. Were you looking for someone? Akino asked in his ear as she watched as the Demi-Saiyan shuddered at the warm breath on his ear and neck. Hello Akino. Not really, no, the dark-haired boy replied awkwardly as he felt his arm being squeezed by the girl chest. Akino just laughed lightly at the Demi-Saiyan ear, which made him shudder again. She couldn't help but think how cute the Demi-Saiyan looked every time he got nervous. It seems that I am not the only one eavesdropping, Akino thought seriously, but without losing that beautiful smile. Gohan didn't know what to do. He'd been caught. I think I have to go, said the dark-haired boy as he broke free of the girl claws. Is it okay if I come with you? Akino asked the Demi-Saiyan beautifully as she looked him in the eye. She had failed 2 days ago where the Demi-Saiyan lived. She just hoped she will be able to succeed this time. Gohan could only scratch the back of his head. He knew Akino's intentions but his manners and the fact that the girl was so cute when she asked didn't allow him to say no. Sure, the boy replied nervously, but why do you want to see my apartment? He continued wanting to get a response from her. So I can come to your apartment when school is over, said the girl as she walked towards him as a seductive smile was planted on her face, and maybe for something else. She continues in his ear with a seductive voice. Oh okay. Gohan replied as an intense blush grew on his face. He was not sure, but something in the girl's voice disturbed him a bit. Very well, let's go, Akino said happily, as she took the Demi-Saiyan right arm and began to walk out of the academy, heading towards Gohan apartment complex. Gohan was being carried away by this girl, still surprised of what happened. He wasn't sure why, but this girl makes the Demi-Saiyan nervous when she spoke in a seductive tone. They walked for about half an hour. Akino keeps stopping to admire the beauty of the park, or show him some other clothes she liked, every time they passed a store. The black-haired boy didn't complain. In fact, he had fun every time he saw the girl acting like any normal teenager. After a while they arrived to Gohan apartment complex and stopped outside the building. "Well, here it is," Gohan said to the girl. "I'll see you next time, Akino." The Demi-Saiyan said goodbye to her but stopped when he saw that Akino was staring at something. "Akino, Akino," Gohan responded as waved his hand in front of the girl face to get her attention. "Huh?" she said, confused looking at the black-haired teenager. "Sorry Gohan, I wasn't paying attention." She apologized with a bow. "You don't have to apologize, but I think this is where we said goodbye," Gohan said with a smile. "Gohan, is it alright if you lend me your notes for biology?" she asked, looking at him with a smile. Gohan didn't expect that, but he was aware that Akino didn't pay attention to one of their teachers from biology as her mind was off somewhere else. "Sure, but I have it all in my notebook and..." Gohan started thinking about the next thing he was going to say. "Let's go upstairs and I'll lend it to you," he continues with some uncertainty as he wasn't sure why he just invited Akino to his apartment. Akino just nodded, smiling as usual. They entered through the door and were greeted by the receptionist, who could only remain in total astonishment and envy to see Gohan and Akino climb the elevator toward his apartment. "Yeah, I would definitely like to live alone," she told no one in particular as she watched the elevator doors close. Gohan and Akino reached their destination. The black-haired boy opened the door, allowing the girl to pass first, followed by the Demi-Saiyan. "What a lovely place," said Akino. "Thank you. A friend got it for me at a decent price," the black-haired boy answered as he left his backpack on the table and started searching for his notebook. "Here it is," he said when he found what he was looking for. Akino didn't say anything, just walked to the couch and took the seat right next to Gohan. She began to take out her notebook and a pencil to write down Gohan notes. "I think it was here," murmured the black-haired boy as he took a seat next to the girl and looking for the page of his notebook in which he had written everything the teacher said. "What a relief," said the girl as she began writing in her notebook. Akino is a very good student, but like any other teenager, school was a bit tedious. Gohan watched as the girl copied the writing in his notebook. He was amazed by the speed, but delicacy in writing each paragraph. When he wrote, only he was that dedicated, and thanks to his training of becoming a warrior. "Is there something wrong with my hands?" Akino amused seeing the Demi-Saiyan who kept looking at her hands. "Huh, and no, it's just," began the black-haired boy with a blush appearing on his cheek, "it's just that you write very fast," he said as he shook his head. Akino only smiled at the embarrassment of the black-haired boy. Gohan was so cute every time he acted like this. "Really? Thank you for the compliment." The girl thanked him as she returned her gaze back to her notebook and continued writing. Gohan just smiles at the girl, but even with the present blush, he could have sworn that he saw the Akino cheeks turn to a pink color. "I think it's time for me," Akino began as she finishes taking her notes, but was brutally interrupted by a thunderbolt. "It seems that a storm is coming," she commented while smiling at the Demi-Saiyan. Gohan didn't say anything. Instead he went to his apartment window and could see that in fact the storm had already reached the city. It seemed to be a strong storm with constant drops of water that hit the glass, the streets, buildings, houses, among other things that were completely soaked with water in a matter of seconds. "I can't let her go at the rate the weather is going," thought the black-haired boy as he looked up at the sky and watched the thunder fall in the distance. "Your apartment is nice Gohan, but I think it's time for me to go." Akino began saying goodbye but was interrupted. "Why don't you stay here for the night, Akino?" the Demi-Saiyan asks after seeing the girl raise her eyebrows confusion. "I mean, the storm is getting stronger and I don't think it's a good idea for you to leave like this," he added to clarify his point. Akino looked at him for a moment before replying, although it didn't bother her spending time with Gohan and that this could be a good way to watch over him, but she didn't want to disturb the black-haired boy with her presence. "You don't mind if I stay with you?" she asked the Demi-Saiyan earnestly as she stares at him closely. Gohan was surprised because this was the first time he saw the girl acting so serious. "Of course, I don't mind if you stay for the night," Gohan answered with a smile. He didn't mind Akino staying here for the night, but that didn't take away the fact that she made him nervous. "Okay, I'll agree to stay for the night," she said, while smiling at him beautifully. Gohan just laughed, Confused by the sudden change of attitude from the girl, he wasn't sure if it was a good idea to let Akeno to stay here for the night, but the Demi-Saiyan couldn't let the violet-eyed girl leave in such a storm. Well, I think we'd better let your parents know that you are staying here for. Gohan didn't finish explaining as the black-haired boy see that the mood of the girl changed, which the Demi-Saiyan didn't like. Akeno, what's wrong? Gohan asked softly as he approached the depressed girl in front of him. The girl didn't answer as she turns around so that the black-haired boy wouldn't see her. She could feel the tears that threatened to leave her eyes. Why do I want to cry? That happened so many years ago and I said I wasn't going to cry again, she thought as she closed her eyes tightly to try to keep the tears from escaping from her eyelids. Akeno, did I say something wrong? The Demi-Saiyan asks alarmed. He never saw the girl in this state. It's nothing, Gohan. Akeno replied as she turned around and smiled. They're nothing to worry about, she assures him without stopping her smile at the Demi-Saiyan. Gohan knew she was lying. He could easily tell as the Demi-Saiyan felt her ki, but that was not why he knew. It was because that smile was a lie. He knew the girl's true smile and this was not it. Please, Akeno. The Demi-Saiyan began to wrap his arms around Akeno, giving her a hug from the warm embrace. I know there's something wrong. Please tell me what's wrong, he said softly in her ear as he hugged her. Akeno was surprised by the sudden embrace of the Demi-Saiyan, but as time by she began to sink into Gohan's arms and bury her head to his chest. She didn't want to cry about something as silly as this, but she couldn't stop. With Gohan so close to her as she felt the Demi-Saiyan's strong arms made her feel like she could talk about anything with him. My mother died when I was a little too, she said between sobs, and my father was the fault for everything, she added with anger as she continues crying. Gohan was surprised by this sudden change for the girl. He struck himself mentally for forcing that subject, but he couldn't help but ask about what her father's fault was. I'm an idiot. Gohan thought angrily at himself as he tightens his grip, slipping his right hand to the back of the girl's scalp. I'm sorry, Akeno, I didn't mean to bring bad memories. Gohan continued gently caressing her head. Why, you don't have to apologize, the girl said as she looked up at Gohan with a small smile. Akeno, thought the black-haired boy without looking away from the girl. He wasn't sure why, but the Demi-Saiyan put his head down and watched Akeno's face get closer to his with every minute that passed. Gohan, thought the girl just to see him get closer to her face. She was sure the Demi-Saiyan had an interest with her, but now that she saw him approaching, she felt his breath on her face. She wasn't sure if this what it felt like to have an interest on someone, or did she really love him. Both Akeno and Gohan closed their eyes as they got closer from each other's face. Their missions to watch over each other no longer mattered now. And what if she wasn't human? They no longer cared. Their cheeks flushed as they were so close together, but they didn't stop there. They kept coming closer and they could feel the tip of their lips touching lightly. PRUMMGGGK. There was a flash of lighting that came outside through of the windows. Gohan first to return to reality as he opens his eyes only to remain speechless of what he was about to do. Excuse me, just, the black-haired boy started awkwardly as he walked away from the girl and turned around to hide his blush. Are you hungry? He asks her, wanting to get out of this situation. Yes, was the response of the girl while she stayed at her original position. Take a seat, the Demi-Saiyan said awkwardly as he walked into the kitchen preparing something to eat. Gohan struck himself mentally for letting himself for getting carried away like that. He was not sure what happened, but just remembering seeing those beautiful eyes of the girl. Damn it, what's happening to me? He wondered at the fridge as he'd come out with a few loaves of bread along with the ham and other things he needed to make a sandwich. This never happened before. Not since old Kai had released his hidden power. He felt something deep within him wanted to be released. But right now something is making the Demi-Saiyan acting this way. He wasn't sure what it was, but he knew it wasn't anything good. The black-haired boy prepared the little snack in a matter of minutes and then went to the room where Akeno was already waiting for him, whom seemed to be lost in her thoughts. Here, I hope you like it, Gohan said awkwardly as he recalled what happened a few moments ago. Thank you. Akeno thanked him with a small smile, but something dubious was in the girl's mind. Gohan sighed to himself. Seeing the girl's reaction, it still bothers him about what happened. If that was the case, he had to clear the misunderstanding as soon as possible. I'm sorry, Akeno, the Demi-Saiyan responded as he stared at the floor. I didn't mean. It's just that, he continued, but stopped as he felt the girl's hand on his shoulder. You don't have to apologize, I'm also to blame, she reassures the Demi-Saiyan as she gave him a serene smile. In fact, she wasn't annoyed, it just surprised and confused her. This was the first time her heart beat so fast with a boy. Well, how about we forget about it and start eating? Gohan asked with his typical son smile appear. Okay, the girl answered to the Demi-Saiyan while looking at him with a smile that never left her face. I won't ever forget this moment, Akeno thought to herself as a small blush was planted in her cheeks. They ate their snack while they watched their shows. They had an enjoyable time together while they laugh at a comedy program as time accelerate for the two teenagers. The storm didn't wither out and it was time to go to sleep. This only brought more problems to the Demi-Saiyan. The apartment only had one room and Gohan wouldn't allow Akeno to sleep on the sofa while he sleeps comfortably in his bed. I insist, you can have my room, Gohan repeated for the fourth time to the girl. He offered Akeno to sleep on his bed while he slept on his sofa but the girl still refused his offer. I can't take your bed Gohan, Akeno responded while shaking her head, it's more than enough that you let me stay at your apartment. I won't let you sleep on the sofa, Gohan said once again as he made his concern for the girl to be known. Akeno responded as she tilts her head pretending to think of a solution, so how about we sleep together? She said, while smiling innocently at the Demi-Saiyan. But that's not right. Before Gohan could continue Akeno interrupted him. But we won't do anything wrong, she said while staring at the Demi-Saiyan with bright violet eyes, if you want to. She continued with a strange smile that made the black-haired boy a little nervous. Gohan could only swallow a lump in his throat listening to Akeno's words, they won't do anything bad, they would only share a bed together, that was it. Oh okay, answered the black-haired boy, seeing that this was the only way for Akeno to sleep comfortably in the Demi-Saiyan bed. Akeno smiled even more if that was even possible, this would definitely be a long night for the Demi-Saiyan. The next morning, Gohan was sound asleep, until a ray of sunshine beamed through his window settling on his face. Stupid window, he murmured as he turns to his side. This only caused him to lift his eyebrows from his still closed eyes as his right arm felt a lump. The bump seemed to move and then feel a bit soft. Two fleshy spheres were pressing with his bare chest, snuggling closer to him. What the hell, thought the black-haired boy as he got up, opened his eyes to capture the offender of his vision. What he didn't expect was to see a completely naked Akeno sleeping in his bed. The black-haired boy was in complete shock to see her like this with all her glory, sleeping peacefully. What? But me, when? He asked in panic as he looked at the girl in front of him. Akeno groaned weakly as she sat up, stretching her arms to the sky, Good morning Gohan, she greeted to the complete shocked Demi-Saiyan. Gohan was speechless with an intense blush appearing on his face. He could see Akeno breasts bouncing in every movement, seeing the incredible figure of the beautiful girl in front of him. Every curve that was accentuated to her delicate pale body, small nipples bristling as it came contact with the cold air. Akeno, what are you doing naked? Asked the Demi-Saiyan as he covers his face in shame. Akeno asks the confused as she listens to the black-haired boy, you invited me to sleep here, dummy. Said Akeno smile at the embarrassed Demi-Saiyan beautifully. But, began the black-haired boy, but he stops when he remember his offer, but that doesn't explain why you're naked. He said pointing towards her but making sure to keep his eyes close. But you're also naked, Akeno replied as she pointed at his exposed chest. I don't see what the problem is, she continues, tilting her head in confusion. I'm not naked, Gohan said as he got up and looked at her in disbelief, but immediately regretted as he shut his eyes. Anyway, it doesn't matter, just get dressed, I'll wait for you outside, he replied with some frustration. Wait Gohan, began Akeno as she tries to stop Gohan from leaving. Akeno thought that Gohan was angry with her as she got up to stop him, apologizing for whatever she had done wrong, but she never got the chance as her feet got stuck with the white sheets, causing her to trip. She closes her eyes, expecting the hard blow of the ground, but it never arrived. Instead she felt two muscular arms sustain her fall. Gohan watched as the girl fell to the ground and reacted instinctively, caught her in his arms before she fell to the hard ground. But now that he had her in his arms he could feel her bulky breasts pressing with his abdomen as her delicate hand was on his muscular chest. She's so beautiful, he thought in total astonishment, seeing her in his arms. I'm sorry Gohan, I didn't mean to make you angry, said the girl timidly as she lowered her head and brought Gohan attention back to reality. I'm not angry, but I think you should change, the dark-haired boy said awkwardly to the girl still in his arms. Why does she has to be so cute? He asked to himself, forgetting that she was naked and in his arms. Okay, she replied as she reluctantly leaves her position, grabbing her uniform. The Demi-Saiyan could see a better view of her back when he saw her pick up her clothes on the floor, but he immediately turns around as his face was completely red. Spending time with Issei and the others are starting to affect me, Gohan thought to himself, remembering the perverted trio antics. He was about to tell the girl that he would wait outside but stopped when he felt a pair of soft hands around his neck. I already changed, so what's next? She asked in his ear with a seductive smile. Roag. There was a loud noise of the black hair boy's stomach signaling that he was hungry. Are you hungry? Gohan asks timidly as he was relieved that they were interrupted. With Issei he was in the middle of the mall waiting for Yuma. They had agreed to be here at 5 o'clock, but the chestnut was so excited about his date that he arrived earlier than indicated. I hope what Akino said is true, Issei murmurs as he reaches into his left pocket and dug out the flyer that Akino given him yesterday. He only hoped that the charm would work. Issei. Yuma shouted as she approaches him, snapping him back to reality. Hello, Yuma. Issei greets her as he approaches Yuma, putting the paper in his pocket. Sorry that I'm late. Don't worry, I just got here a bit early, the chestnut advised the girl as he scratched his head in shame. We should probably get going, Yuma replied with a beautiful smile as she began to follow the chestnut. They were at the market, where Gohan and Azazel had bought Kuo uniforms for the Demi-Saiyan. Yuma pulled the boy's arm, dragging the chestnut to the clothing store. Issei accepts willingly, but he never imagines the hell he had to endure being a personal mannequin for his date. It was a bit tedious as Issei wears each shirt, shoe, or pants that the girl gave him. After the clothing store, they went through a costume shop. They enter for pure curiosity. They both have fun, more specifically the boy had fun, the girl just acted that she was afraid. Yuma is so funny, Issei thought with a smile as the two headed to the food court sitting at one of the tables. If he touches me one more time I'm going to kill him right now, she thought angrily as she tightens her fist. They order their food, sat down at one of the empty tables, they were chatting about trivial things while they ate their meals for a while. But someone with a trench coat, covering the man from head to toe took a seat at one of the empty tables that were nearby Issei and Yuma. Who is that guy? Issei responds staring at the mysterious stranger. It's spring, why is he wearing a coat? Issei said, looking at the guy with confusion written all over his face, it's too hot to wear a coat that covers your entire body. Maybe it's chilly, Yuma suggests, acting as positive as ever, but deep down she could only wonder what's wrong with this guy to wear something like a coat at this time of season. I think you're right, said the doubtful chestnut returning his gaze to Yuma, after all who was he to judge people. They talked for another hour while they were being watched by the subject with the coat. They didn't know that they were being watched nor did they care. But everyone who was in the food court could clearly see the mysterious man didn't stop staring at the two teenagers as he eavesdropped. After a while Issei and Yuma decide it's time to go home seeing that it's getting late. With Gohan had gotten rid of Akino some time ago, she left the Demi-Saiyan apartment claiming that she had some things to do, but not before trying to convince Gohan to let her sleep in his apartment, when she wants to. Now, Gohan was staring at Issei as the chestnut got up from his table. Gohan was wearing a long brown trench coat that covered him from head to toe in the hope that the chestnut and Yuma didn't recognize him. Underneath the trench coat is Gohan wearing regular clothes, a blue shirt, leather belt, blue jeans, and black shoes. The Demi-Saiyan had been following the two teenagers ever since they arrived to the mall while the Demi-Saiyan hid at different corners, trash cans, chairs or anything the Demi-Saiyan could use as a hiding place. Fortunately for him, they never saw him, but that all changed when they entered the food court. What is that girl planning? Gohan thought to himself as he got up, started walking to the mall entrance where Issei and Yuma were heading. She hadn't done anything yet. Gohan was about to open the door, leaving the area as he continued to follow Issei and Yuma, but he stops when he felt a hand on his shoulder. Excuse me sir, but we have some questions for you, said a police officer with a firm voice. Gohan turned around to see a man in his mid-30s wearing a uniform. The Demi-Saiyan could only guess he was city police. Shit, Gohan thought in panic, wondering what he had gotten himself into. Is there a problem, officer? He asks politely, not to cause any more problems. We have been notified that you were following two teenagers, the officer replies as he grabs the Demi-Saiyan arm. Was it so obvious? Gohan asks naively as a bead of sweat trickled down his neck. That's it, you just confessed a crime, began the officer as he grabs Gohan wrist, turned the Demi-Saiyan towards the wall and began putting the handcuffs on the Demi-Saiyan. You are under arrest. Gohan just sighed at the situation. He let the officer handcuff him since he didn't want to go against the laws of this world, as he cursed himself for being an idiot. Now what am I going to do? Gohan wondered, trying to get out of this situation, but his eyes widened when he felt Issei ki decrease considerably and Yuma ki rises. Issei! Gohan shouted, confusing the officer. The officer was about to ask what the teenager was talking about but stopped as he was pushed by an invisible force, then watches the subject disappear towards the sky as he left behind shattered pieces of the police officer handcuffs and the trench coat that was laying on the floor. What? He couldn't find the correct words as the policeman remained on the floor in complete shock of what happened. Gohan felt Issei ki disappearing with every second that passed. The Demi-Saiyan need to hurry or the chestnut will die. Taking by impulse, Gohan add more ki, increasing his speed as he explodes into a white flame that surrounds Gohan body, as he launches to Issei direction at full speed. I found him, Gohan murmur as he notices two people at a circular fountain. Using his super speed he disappear and reappear to Issei's side, who was on the floor with a huge gash at his stomach as blood kept pouring out. The Demi-Saiyan could see the blood kept coming out of the boy's stomach and there were traces of bleeding and saliva in his mouth. Issei was dying and Gohan need to do something fast. Issei, don't die on me. Listen to me. Don't close your eyes, please. Gohan yelled desperately as he places his hands to Issei's wound and began to give his first friend when he came to this world some of his energy to keeping the chestnut alive. Rainier watched with interest as the boy from the other day have appeared. She watches the Demi-Saiyan put his hands on the idiot's stomach. Rainier was no longer Yuma, her appearance has drastically changed. Rainier was older as she appears the same age as the Demi-Saiyan who was currently healing his friend. She has long black raven hair reached to her hips, violet eyes full of bravado, a slender figure that's shaped like an hourglass, and a large bust that no one can ignore. But even with an incredible figure that goddesses will go green envy of such beauty, the main focus was the two large black wings that appear on the girl back. Rainier clothing leaves zero imagination as her large bust and her tight posterior was exposed to the world to see. She might as well wear nothing at all. She was wearing two black stripes resembling leather around and under her breast, a thong-like piece held around her hips by three thin straps at the right side of the thong. She also wear two black leather gloves that run right up her arms, but at the right glove there was small length chains hanging loosely at the air. There was black shoulder guard-like objects on both of her shoulders, however at the left side there was three large spikes sprouting from her right shoulder, and finally she wear a black high heel boots that reaches to her thigh. This must be my lucky day, Rainier thought arrogantly as she watches the Demi-Saiyan trying to wake Issei up. What Rainier didn't know that the black-haired teenager was transferring some of his ki to the chestnut, stabilizing him. Although it didn't heal Issei completely, it did give the chestnut more time before he died. I have to take him to a hospital as soon as possible. Gohan panicked. He knew that a hospital couldn't heal the boy's wounds in time, but he has to cling some hope. If only I have a senzu bean right now. The Demi-Saiyan murmured to himself. Ha 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 ha, it's useless, he'll die in a matter of seconds, said Rainier, drawing the attention of the black-haired boy, and you will join him. She continues smiling mischievously as she summons a spear of light. Gohan didn't respond nor even react to the threat of the fallen angel. The son of Goku wasn't angry. He was furious. Didn't you hear me? I said. She didn't finish as she saw Gohan disappear, then felt a fist at her stomach that made her spit some blood from her mouth, losing her breath. Rainier collapsed at the ground as she was at her knees holding her stomach tightly from the pain. I heard you, Gohan replied as he stood tall in front of her. He didn't want to hit her, but seeing Issei in this state didn't let Gohan think. Luckily, he was able to control his temper, avoiding the fallen angel going unconscious, or worse, killing her. Rainier couldn't answer as she felt the air escape her lungs. What the hell? That was the strongest blow I ever had in my life. Rainier thought to herself, trying to handle the blow of the Demi-Saiyan. Gohan sighed to himself. He was sure the girl deserves this or even more, but Goku raised Gohan to show mercy to their enemies as well, teaching the Demi-Saiyan of second chance. Forgive me for that blow, but you were asking for it. Gohan responds as he pauses, staring at the girl who's still clutching her stomach in pain. Go, and don't get any closer to Issei. He continued as Gohan turned around and began walking to his fallen friend. He need to take him to a hospital as soon as possible if Issei would be able to make it on time. Rainier couldn't believe it. She had been beaten by this guy. No, she wouldn't be beaten so easily. Using her left arm, she began to summon a spear of light the same color as her angry eyes as she stares daggers at the back of the Demi-Saiyan. Because Rainier thought angrily as Gohan was walking away from her. No one is stronger than me, much less someone like him. Rainier continued as she raises weakly, lifting her spear above her, while pointing at the back of the Demi-Saiyan. Here we go again, muttered the black-haired boy as he didn't turn around of the fallen angel. He could feel the girl ki flow erratically. I think I don't have any other choice, he thought with disappointment, not able to leave without having to fight. Nobody makes fun of the great Rainier, she shouted as she throws her the spear of light towards the Demi-Saiyan. Gohan didn't need to turn around knowing that the spear was coming right behind him. He waited for a while and when the object was close enough he turned around, caught the spear with his bare hands. What? She thought in complete shock as she saw the black-haired boy stop her spear like it was nothing, but I put all my energy into it. Rainier said with disbelief as her legs felt weaker, causing her to collapse as she sat on the ground. She didn't want to admit it but in a long time she felt helpless before someone. Gohan watched as the girl recoiled her conscious mind. Maybe he didn't have to fight after all, maybe. This key. Gohan wondered as he suddenly felt something behind him. He turns around and saw the flyer Akeno gave to Issei was on the floor glowing in a deep red. It's her. The Demi-Saiyan recognizes this energy. Gohan didn't know what she want from this place, but he need to find out. What are? Rainier began to ask but was brutally interrupted when the black-haired boy disappeared and felt two strong arms holding her. Huh, she responds confused of the situation. They were at the same park, but the only difference was that they were from a further distance away from Issei's body, hiding behind some bushes. Rainier's mouth was covered by the Demi-Saiyan hand and she felt a strong arm around her stomach bring her closer to Gohan's chest, unable to escape from his grasp. Gohan had used his speed to hide behind the bushes taking Rainier with him since the fallen angel wasn't going to move from her position, still processing from their fight. Damn it, Issei's still there. Gohan cursed himself forgetting the chestnut was on the floor. He just hoped the mysterious figure didn't do anything to harm the chestnut. Rainier is confused. She could feel her back being pressed with the guy's chest and abdomen. In fact, now that she was so close to him Rainier could feel that he was in very good shape for someone his age. God, are these muscles for real? Rainier thought with a small blush as she closes her eye, cuddle closer to the Demi-Saiyan chest, enjoying the embrace while feeling his arms around her. What am I doing? I have to get out of here. She struck mentally for thinking that way as she tries to find an alternative escape. Gohan paid no attention to the girl in his arms, instead he watches intently as the mysterious stranger began to emerge from the flyer. The Demi-Saiyan saw the figure and his eyes widened of what he saw. There she was, the girl with red hair who Akeno was talking to yesterday. This girl was none other than Rias Grimori. She doesn't have bad intentions. Gohan realizes when he felt her ki. Azazel had assured the Demi-Saiyan that she wasn't bad, but he couldn't be sure until he saw her with his own eyes. What is she doing with Issei? Rainier didn't pay attention to the scene in front of her. She was searching for a plan to escape. The fallen angel knew she couldn't escape by brute force thanks to the strength of the Demi-Saiyan, but there was another way. It seemed pathetic at her part but this was her only option. Ah! Gohan shrieked in agony as he felt a pair of fangs bit his hand. This caused Gohan to release the girl, holding his right hand in pain as it started bleeding. Without wasting any more time Rainier takes her chance and took off towards the sky. Gohan was about to fly after her but was stopped by some kind of red and black flames shot in his direction. Luckily for the Demi-Saiyan he dodges the attack before it could hit him. Who are you? The red-haired girl demanded fiercely as she stares at Gohan's direction. Now what? Thought the black-haired boy as he watched the heir of the Grimori clan approaching him cautiously. Thanks for listening. If you want the next part of this video be sure to like, subscribe and comment and hit that bell notification. See you next time.